Hello students, welcome to today's lecture. Okay, so today we are going to discuss flow through a annulus. Okay, so before that, let me go through this Hagen-Poiseuille equation. Okay, so Hagen-Poiseuille equation is a very famous equation. It's like it it is a formula relating the mass flow rate of a fluid flowing through a circular tube. Okay, earlier we derived this formula, right, where W was mass flow rate. Okay, so in some textbooks the mass flow rate is denoted as Q. Okay, so don't confuse with that, both the meanings are same. Okay, so this in this formula we have mass flow rate W and pi, pressure difference, right, pressure difference between these 2 points, high pressure to low pressure. Okay, because of which pressure difference the fluid is flowing. Okay, then radius of the pipe, then density, okay, then viscosity of the fluid, then length of the cylinder. Okay, so these things are related in this equation, if given by famous Hagen-Poiseuille equation. Now what will happen if I increase the pressure? So if I increase the pressure, so you can see it is the mass flow rate is directly proportional to the delta P, right? So if you increase the pressure, the mass flow rate will also increase. If you decrease the pressure, the mass flow rate will decrease. What will happen if you uh, increase the radius of the pipe? Then if you increase the radius of the pipe, then the mass flow rate will also increase, but by how much factor? If I increase the pressure one time, then flow rate will also increase with 1 times. Okay, if you increase with 2 times pressure, then the flow rate will also by 2 times. But in case of radius it's different. So if you increase the radius by 1 time, then it is 1 time, but if you increase the radius 2 times, then it will become 2 to the power 4, that is how much? 16, right? So if you increase the radius by 2 times, then the mass flow rate will increase by 16 times. Okay, and if you increase the length, okay, length of the pipe, then mass flow rate will decrease. Okay, if you decrease the length of the pipe, then the mass flow rate will increase. Okay, and what about the viscosity? So viscosity is always constant, right? So it doesn't depend upon this. Okay, same here, density and viscosity will not be affected by this. Okay, now what is the purpose of this equation? What is the importance of the Hagen-Poiseuille equation? So the importance of Hagen-Poiseuille equation is, have you heard about viscometer? Okay, so viscometer is a device used to measure the viscosity of the fluids. Okay, so using this formula we can measure the viscosity of any given fluid. Okay, suppose you have a fluid. Okay, you know the density. Okay, let's say density is given. Okay, now you pass a fluid from top to bottom, or so top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, same meaning. So you can measure the pressure difference, right? You can control the pressure difference by some gauge, by using gauge here. Okay, also you can measure the flow rate by using venturimeter. You know venturimeter to measure the flow rates. Okay, you can measure the W, you can measure the delta P. Okay, you have to apply pressure gauge here. Okay, and here, so just take the difference, and you know the radius of the pipe, also you know the length of the pipe, you know the density. So you do the experiment, right? You for particular mass flow rate, you know, or and particular, pressure difference, calculate the viscosity from this formula. Okay, and just make a table. You take a number of readings, like 10 readings. If you increase the number of readings, your correctness will increase. Okay, so your error will be reduced. So take as much as readings possible. Okay, then you can do the regression to fit this. Okay, then you'll get the viscosity. You'll get a linear line y is equal to mx, right? So you have to rearrange this formula like mu in this part and other factor, and w will come here, 8w mu, sorry, 8wl. Okay, then the rest factors remain same. So you carry out this experiment for as many as readings possible, then you just do the regression to know how much error is in there. Okay, then you can find the viscosity. That is the purpose of viscometer, especially capillary viscometer. Okay, that's how you find the viscosity of the fluids using Hagen-Poiseuille equation. Okay, this was the thing I didn't mention earlier. Okay, now we'll come to today's problem. That is flow through annulus. So we are going to study flow through annulus in today's class. Okay. So the derivation is same as before. Only the difference is the coordinates, direction, and the boundary conditions. Okay, so it's very straightforward. I will just go through the main differences so that you can derive on your own. Okay, so we have to see the diagram to understand. Okay, so if you don't know what is the annulus, so if you have two pipes, coaxial pipes, right, the axis is same. This is the top view, so this is the inner pipe, this is the outer pipe. Okay, and fluid is flowing through this region. Okay, earlier fluid was flowing through this region. Okay, a single pipe. Now we have two pipes. Now fluid is flowing in this region. This is called annulus. Okay, fine. So we have to derive what will be the velocity profile in this scenario. So the velocity profile will be somewhere here. Okay, right? So as you see, we have two walls, one wall here, one on here. So velocity will be maximum not in between but somewhere here. Okay, it will be parabolic only, but it will not be exactly centered. Okay, so it will be maximum. Similarly, for shear stress, we'll having maximum here, then minimum here, and like this. Okay, so we have to derive this profile. Okay, and in this case the fluid is moving upward now. Okay, so our coordinate system is at the bottom, so fluid is moving upward. So to make things positive, so in this case we have taken this form, right, coordinate system at the bottom. Okay, and also now pressure will be again a function of the z. Okay, and the one thing will change now. What is that? That is the modified pressure. So we earlier we took modified pressure is, we define modified pressure P plus rho gh, right, where h is the height upwards against the gravity, right? Now in this case, since our coordinate system is in this upward direction only, so in the modified pressure difference it will be P plus rho gh only. Earlier it was minus because our coordinate system was bottom direction, right? So this will be a change. Okay, okay, clear. Now let's uh, deal with the boundary conditions. So boundary conditions is like, so before that just define the radius. So the outer cylinder, the radius of the outer cylinder is r, right? And what the radius of the inner cylinder is, you can say the outer cylinder is r1 or the inner cylinder is R2. This way is also possible. Okay, in fact this will be easier. But if you express R2 in terms of the R1, then it will be much more easier. You are just removing one more variable, right? So I want to keep things simple, so you just reduce the one variable. So instead of writing R1 and R2, what I will define is the outer radius is R, okay, and the inner radius of the inner pipe is some kappa r, right? Some kappa r means like some fraction of that. It's like k will be a number only between 0 to 1. It's a fraction, right? So 0 to 1. Okay, suppose the inner pipe is somewhat like 2.20% of the capital R. If it is 50% of capital, it will be like this, right? So kappa is in between, the value of kappa is in between 0 to 1. Okay, definitely if kappa is equal to 1, then what will happen? There will be no flow, right? There will be no area to flow through this. Okay, so this case is ignored. Okay, if kappa is 0, what will happen? If kappa is 0, then we will having the only single pipe, right? So that will be same as the flow through a one single pipe. Okay, now with these definitions of radius, now let's define the boundary conditions. So boundary condition, there will be three boundary conditions. So boundary condition 1, if you see, shear stress will be maximum at the walls, right? We have wall 1 here, wall 2 here, right? So shear stress will be maximum in this case. Where it is minimum or 0, tau x is 0 at it's not center, okay, it's the annulus region. So you cannot say at r is equal to 0 it is 0. Okay, then what? It is somewhat in between these two, k kappa r and the r, right? So instead of taking 50% at the center, it is not possible. It is definitely not 0 at this at the center of these 2 points. So I will say at some value lambda r, where lambda is again definitely a fraction between 0 to 1, right? Okay, so definitely lambda is greater than kappa. Okay, lambda will be greater than kappa only. Okay, so at somewhere between lambda r, at some point at r is equal to lambda r, then tau shear stress will be 0, right? Shear stress is only maximum at the walls. Okay, so this is your boundary condition 1. Okay, what will be your boundary condition 2? Boundary condition 2 is straightforward. So at walls you have velocity 0, so Vz will be 0 at r is equal to outer radius, inner radius of the outer cylinder, and also the third boundary condition, Vz is 0 at outer radius of the inner pipe, that is r is equal to kappa r. Okay, I hope the boundary condition is clear and the slight modifications. So rest same. Okay, so rest is same. So you have to first consider which terms will be there, right? I already told you. So we are doing cylindrical coordinates, right? So let's for now fix this r, theta r, z r. This all becomes 0 as discussed in previous previous problem, right? Similarly, phi, we have theta, 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 r theta, 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 z theta. All these values will be 0 again, right? As discussed. And lastly, we have z, z, we have rz, theta z, and zz. This will be again 0, right? As I discussed earlier, only the you have tau theta z plus rho v theta v z. V theta is 0 because there is no flow, there is no rotation, or there is no flow in theta direction. So this whole term will be 0. Again, this will be 0 because, well, Vz is not a function of theta, right? Velocity is not changing along the theta direction, right? So this term will be 0. Only two terms are left, this and this, as discussed earlier, right? So if you do the balance, you can directly get this equation. Okay, same as before. Okay, only the difference is here the definition of the modified pressure is changed. Okay, this is a modified pressure. It is, instead of minus, it is rho g plus. Okay, plus rho g naught minus pl plus rho gl. See here, plus sign and plus sign, because according to modified pressure definition, our coordinate system is upward, right? Earlier it was downward coordinate system, z direction was in downward direction, that's why it was negative in earlier case, but in this case we are doing in the upward direction, right? So this becomes positive. Okay, so you'll get this. Now rest is simple, just do the boundary conditions. Okay, now you have got this formula, right? You have got this formula. Now just simply integrate. So if you integrate, you will get tau r tau z, this capital P naught minus capital P L divided by L into R, right? And it will be R square by 2, right? Then R comes from this, R will come down and cancel out, so you'll get this. Okay, now use the boundary condition. So I told you tau rz is 0 at somewhere uh, inside the annulus region, right? I don't know where, but I know it is not in exactly at the center. So I will not use 0.5. So I will use some lambda, which I can calculate. What is the value of lambda? I can calculate later. So at this, right? So you just put lambda r here. So and tau r is 0 on this side. Okay. So and you can solve for C1. So you can get C1 something, then put the C1 value here again and rearrange it, so you'll get this equation. Okay, now next job is to find the velocity profile. So you have found the shear stress profile, right? So next job is to find the velocity profile. So what is the definition of tau rz? Minus mu v z by dou r plus dou vr by dou z. Since there is no flow in radial direction, this becomes 0. So we have tau z equal minus mu d dou vz by dou r, right? So simply put this equation in here. Okay, and rearrange a little bit, so you'll get this. Okay, now you have to integrate it. Okay, so if you integrate this, what you'll get another constant, right? So you have got a constant C2. Now you have to find the value of C2 using boundary conditions. As I told you, the boundary condition at velocity 0 at both the walls, right? So inner wall was at r is equal to kappa r. Kappa r was the outer radius of the inner pipe, and capital R is the inner radius of the outer pipe. So at both these points, Vz is 0. So simply use both the boundary conditions. So you might think that only single boundary condition is enough to find the value of C2. Yeah, you're correct. But we don't know what is the value of lambda. It was some arbitrary point, right? So we have to also calculate the value of lambda in terms of kappa, right? So that's why you have to use both the boundary conditions. Okay, so if you put these two here, you'll get these two equations, right? From this equation, it is clear that C2 is equal to minus 1. Okay. And again, from this equation you can find the lambda value. right? So C2 is equal to -1 and 2 lambda square is equal to 1 minus kappa square by ln 1 by kappa. Okay, so you have got the lambda square also. See, this expression in terms of 2 lambda square, because you can easily put in here, right? So 2 lambda square is there, so you just simply put this 2 lambda square is equal to this value in this. Okay, so if you put these values, you will get this. Fine. Okay, this is your shear stress profile. This is your velocity profile. If you see here, so again this is some kind of at any radius point, if you put any radius value, then definitely this will be dimensionless, right? This part will be dimensionless, but here our z is varying with r, so it is kind of it's not exactly linear, but ln is there, so it is not non-linear. Okay, for the velocity profile, again you can see it is some r square term there, so it is exactly parabolic minus some ln k here, ln k term, so it will be it will try to become parabolic, but because of this term it will not be exactly parabolic, it will be something different. Okay, so if you plot this, you will get profile something like this. Okay, you can see in the next page. Okay, sorry, yeah, here you can see the profile. Okay, since the velocity is going upward, right, so the maximum velocity will be somewhere here. It will not exactly at the center, but somewhere in between these two. So here we have the maximum point at lambda r, right? This point is r is equal to lambda r. So you can see it is not exactly parabolic, it is slightly modified because of the ln term. Okay, so we'll be having maximum here also, here also. This is a side view. Similarly, we have shear stress profile somewhat like this. It will be 0 at this line, right? And here it is positive, here it is negative, here it is positive, here it is negative. You can plot it. Okay, so you have got the velocity profile and the shear stress profile. Now your job is to find out the maximum velocity. Now you know maximum velocity is at what? At maximum velocity exists at lambda r value, right? So simply put this r is equal to lambda r in this equation, so you will get this guy, right? So lambda square you can find, you already calculated lambda square value, just simply put it there, so you can, or you first calculate lambda square in terms of kappa, then you will get the maximum velocity, right? Again, average velocity, you are doing the same thing as earlier, only the difference is the limits of integration. So the lower limit is kappa r, right? Inner pipe radius, and the r is the outer area. This is the only change, right? So you have to use this velocity here and integrate, that will get something. And mass flow rate, again, what is mass flow rate? Rho average velocity into rho v area, right? So what is the area of the flow? Annulus region, pi r square minus kappa square r square, right? This is the annulus flow. This is how you calculate. So you can take r square common, so you will get pi r square into 1 minus kappa square and rho into average velocity. You simply put from this, you will get the mass flow rate. Okay, the next term you have to calculate is the force. The force exerted by the fluid on the solid surfaces. Remember, we have two solid surfaces here. One here one here. What is the total surface area? This curved surface area, right? You can see this is cylinder, so the curved surface area here and the curved surface here. So you just have to multiply, right? So at before we take the inner wall, right? The force is nothing but shear stress into area, right? Because you know the formula. So inner wall R is equal to what? Kappa R. What will be the force? Tau R Z into the area, curved area of this inner wall. What is that? 2 pi RL, right? So 2 pi kappa R into L. Okay? And tau RZ is calculated at R is equal to kappa R. Okay? And why this is taken as minus? Because if you see the profile, the shear stress was negative here, right? Shear stress profile was somewhere positive on this wall and negative in this wall, right? So that's why it's minus taken. So you can get it. Again here you have to outer wall. What is the radius? R, right? So what is the curved surface area? 2 pi RL into shear stress was positive, right? Shear stress positive, so you can take it. So if you simplify, you will get this. So basically you are summing up the forces on this wall and this force is positive, this is negative. So okay, so why you can know the signs, right? The signs was different in the both the walls. Okay. Also you can find the Reynolds number. So it is found that Reynolds number 2000. It is in the transition region where laminar turbulence. Okay. And how the Reynolds number is defined here? That is the thing. Okay. So Reynolds number is defined as generally what? Rho, average velocity, effective diameter by mu. Right? So what will be the effective diameter? You know, hydraulic diameter, 4 into hydraulic radius, right? What is the RH? So effective diameter is 4 hydraulic radius. What is RH? RH is nothing but flow area divided by rotate perimeter, right? So simply use that formula. So derive it, you will come to this. Okay. So with this, we have completed this problem. Okay. Thank you.